All right, Diane Gallagher, thank you very much. We do have major breaking news. The British ambassador to the United States to resign after an awkward back and forth with President Trump. New Day continues right now.
This is CNN Breaking News.
All right, we want to welcome our viewers in the United States and around the world. This is New Day. We didn't have to wait long for this breaking news. You and I were just talking about this with our guests last hour about what the future of this ambassador, Kim Darroch, would be. Everyone thought that he would be able to perhaps stay out his term, which was ending at the end of this year. But no, this morning we have just learned in the past hour the UK ambassador to the US will resign days after those leaked cables showed described, I should say, the Trump administration as inept. Max Foster is standing by for us right now in London with this breaking news. Max, what have you learned?
Alison, he's written a letter to the Foreign Office. I'll just tell you what he's said to his superiors here in London. We've just received it, so I'm reading it at the same time. Since the leak of official documents from this embassy, there's been a great deal of speculation surrounding my position and the duration of my remaining term as ambassador. We know he was due to retire at Christmas. I want to put an end to that speculation. The current situation is making it impossible for me to carry out my role as I would like. Although my posting is not due to end until the end of this year, I believe in the current circumstances, the responsible course is to allow the appointment of a new ambassador. I'm grateful to all those in the UK and US who've offered their support during this difficult few days. This has brought home to me the depth of friendship and close ties between our two countries. One final section from him. I'm also grateful to those whom I've worked with over the last 4 decades. In response, his superior has paid tribute to him effectively. This comes off the back of a debate last night between the two successors to Theresa May, Jeremy Hunt and Boris Johnson. And in that debate, Jeremy Hunt committed to keeping Kim Darroch as ambassador if he got into power this month. But Boris Johnson didn't. It wasn't a vote of support in the ambassador. So that put him in a very uncomfortable position. His role is pretty much untenable because the White House isn't dealing with him right now. So he's decided to do what many would see as the honorable thing.
All right, Max Foster, please stand by for us. Let's bring in Abby Phillips, CNN White House correspondent. Also joining us, Ellie Hodig, former federal prosecutor and a CNN legal analyst, and Ested Herndon, national political reporter for the New York Times. Abby, first to you. I know this news just broke moments ago. Any reaction from the White House yet?
Not yet at the moment, but I think you'll find that this is going to be welcome news. There was quite a bit of anger on the president's part, which in this White House filters down pretty directly to the staff, where President Trump took this as a personal affront. And if you read carefully, a lot of these cables that were publicized in the British paper initially, they were criticisms and descriptions of the Trump administration in their early days at a time when it was, in fact, an incredibly chaotic administration. There was a lot of knife fighting. There was a sense that a lot of people in those positions were not prepared to take the reins of government. So Kim Darroch was describing that in those cables. He also described President Trump as insecure. He was portraying a president in a way that, frankly, no one really wants to be portrayed in publicly, but these weren't public. They were private, but once they became public, the President Trump took it as a personal affront, and you could hear it from his aides that they had no choice but to say and reiterate what the president said, which is that this cannot continue. President Trump sent a clear message.
Abby, hang on one second.
Sure.
Hang on one second.
Yeah.
This is British Prime Minister Theresa May answering questions in Parliament right now.
Full support to Sir Kim on Tuesday. Sir Kim has given a lifetime of service to the United Kingdom, and we owe him an enormous debt of gratitude. Good government depends on public servants being able to give full and frank advice. I want all our public servants to have the confidence to be able to do that. And I hope the House will reflect on the importance of defending our values and principles, particularly when they are under pressure. Mr. Speaker, the whole House will want to join me in sending our deepest sympathies to the family and friends of Tammy Minshall, the student paramedic who was killed in a traffic accident last week whilst on duty.
Okay, you just heard the British Prime Minister Theresa May there, essentially, I think, expressing some regret that the British ambassador to the United States, Kim Darroch, had to resign. They're basically saying that he was doing his job. You want your diplomats around the world to be able to send unvarnished, really unedited assessments of what they're seeing on the ground. And let me just read you what one of those leaked cables that Kim Darroch, soon to be the former ambassador to the United States, wrote to the British government. We really don't believe that this administration, the U.S. administration, is going to become substantially more normal, less dysfunctional, less unpredictable, less faction-riven, less diplomatically clumsy, and inept. And that was his assessment to his government about what was happening in the United States.
Which is his job.
Which we just heard from another former British ambassador was his job. Max, I know you're listening still. Max Foster in London. You heard the British Prime Minister there along with us. What did you make of her remarks?
Well, it's interesting because her position is very clear. She's supporting him exactly as you say. His job, he's paid to offer frank assessments of the current administration, and that's what he was doing. So her focus has been on the leak. Who would leak it? What are the motivations behind it? We still don't know who is the source of those leaks. But it all depended on who was going to take over from her. Boris Johnson, certainly the front runner, and he didn't offer the same sort of support to Kim Darroch. He just said that the relationship with the United States is the most important thing. I have to say, across European capitals, a huge amount of concern about this story, and really the precedent that it sets. Should a head of state in a host country be allowed to effectively push an ambassador out? And many people feel this is a really worrying precedent to set, effectively Donald Trump dismantling, to some extent, the current diplomatic system, certainly between the UK and the US.
One more question, Abby, about the reaction in the White House. And you had said that you assumed that